Hello, this is going to be a tutorial on making these circular profile pictures that Facebook now has using Corel Paint Shop Pro. And to get started, we will open up our profile picture template. And first thing, I'm going to go ahead and shrink the paper a little bit so that none of it is outside the canvas. And I'll kind of explain why a little later. Whoops. So in our template, what we have is the background layer, which I intentionally colored a light pink just so that it makes everything else stand out. And then it has our vector layer, circular vector layer for making the text circular. It will need to be a vector layer, so I went ahead and made a new layer for that. And then next is our circular raster layer, which will be for the paper. Next we have our border. And first thing I'm going to do is bring our tube onto the canvas. And since this was a layered tube, I went ahead and selected all the options that I wanted, and then right-clicked on one of the selected options and select merge, and then merge visible. Since this has already been merged, that's grayed out, but that's what I would select in merging here. And then I just bring the merged image onto the canvas. And then of course we have to resize it. So let's see. So I just selected the border so that I could see kind of what it's going to look like, and that's about the right size. I do want to shrink it just a tad, just so that her hand will get inside the frame there. So I'll just shrink it down about 5%. Okay, so that's perfect. Okay. And the next thing we want to do is bring our paper onto the canvas. And I'm going to put it under the circular raster layer. And then I'm going to go ahead and resize it to the canvas. Actually, I'm going to resize it smaller than the canvas. And here in just a quick moment, I'll explain why. I did that on the background as well. Okay, so to make the paper the same shape as this circular raster layer, what we'll do is select that raster layer, and then we'll go to selections, and then select all, and then selections, and then float. What float does is basically sends a copy of this image, the shape, to each of the layers for them to memorize. And then what we do is defloat to bring that back to its original layer. And then from that point, each of the layers has memorized that shape. We can go to any one of these layers here and press delete, and it will delete everything outside of the circle. But we actually do have to invert it first, because before it's inverted, it will delete everything inside the shape, inside the circle. We don't want that. We want everything outside the shape. So we'll invert it. And then so at that point, we can just press delete on any one of these layers. Oops. Okay. So it makes it real easy. And the reason that I shaped the paper smaller than the canvas is because if it's sized strictly to the canvas, there might be like a slight line that does not get erased. And we don't want that. If it's all inside the frame when erasing, you know that it's all going to get erased. So we've got that. And I'm just going to move the paper layer up above the raster layer. We're not going to move that raster layer anymore, so I'll bring it a little further down. Next, we can color our border. And let's see, what I'll do here is I'll use my little eyedropper. I'll click on the materials palette where the colors are, and then I'll use the little eyedropper and try and get that same color from my banner. It's always good to have your banner up when you're making your profile so you can kind of make them identical and everything. And then I got to stop those dancing ends. So selections and then select none. And then what we'll do is we'll do flood fill. And then we'll select the border and it'll color that border, the color that we specified. And then next we'll go to adjust, add remove noise, and then add noise to make it have some sparkle. And next we want to do our credits. So I'm going to go back to my pick tool, and then I'm going to select our credits here, and then go to text, the text tool, and I'm going to triple click, right click, and then left click on copy. The right click is to get the menu up once you've triple clicked on the whole words. The triple click is what's going to select the whole thing, and then right click will bring up the menu, and then left click will select the option in the menu that you want, which is copy. And so next what we'll do is we'll create a new raster layer. I apologize, not a new raster layer, a new vector layer actually. And I'm going to go ahead and just take the eye off these things real quick because we don't need those. We only need the circle. And then right click and paste. It's going to make it a little bigger. See if it copied. I think it copied. Oops. And we got black on black, so it's not showing up here. Okay, let's see. There we go. And then I'm going to select my font. Okay, so that looks a little better. It's still a little stretched. So what I'm going to just do is, there we go. And what I'll do is just take off this stroke, and I'm just going to make it a white font for now. Okay, so we got our credits, we got our circular vector layer. Everything else is not selected because we're just working with these two at the moment. Next, we want to go back to our pick tool and just draw a square over both of them, and it'll select them at the same time. The vector layer and the circular vector layer. Oops. Okay, so once they're both selected, we go to Objects and then Fit Text to Path. And then what we'll do is bring it outside the circle. And so that we can see it, what I'll do is see if I can change the font here. Okay, there we go. It didn't change the font on the whole thing, unfortunately. I need to go back to my text tool. Okay, so I'm going to make sure. There we go. So now it's all black. And what we can do is deselect this black circular vector layer. And we can actually put the eye back on our paper and our border. And we'll try to have our text above our border. So I'll just move that up. And so that we can have it like inside the border, what we'll do is go back to our text tool, triple click to select it all, and then over here is the more options at the end of all your text features. And where it says offset, what we'll do is we'll reduce that number, and what it'll do is bring it inside the circle more. And so now it's right on the border. And what I would do is make the text a little smaller. So I'm going to shrink it just a little bit. There we go. And it still stays in the border, but if I need it to be up a little bit more, what I'll do is, let's see, and actually I do want it to be raised up a little bit more. I will may have did that wrong. Let's see. I think I want it to go closer to 0. Oops. Okay, so going back to 0 here. I apologize, it's being a little temperamental. Okay, so I'm just going to go down a few. Okay, and maybe 1 or 2 more. Oh, my text tool, yes. Okay, there we go. Go down. Start with 1. Okay, I think that's perfect. So it's inside the circle, and you can drag it wherever you want, and it's still going to stay inside the circle. It's attached to that shape. The only way to bring it closer inside or farther outside is by using that offset feature. Now, if you bring it down below, the text is going to be upside down. if I bring it all the way to the bottom, let's see. And then I go to my text tool. Actually, I'm going to stay on my pick tool. I'm going to try to see if this works. Go to image, flip horizontal. Oh, it doesn't flip the text, it just flips the layer around. Trying to see if there's a way I can make it go the opposite direction, but I'm sure there is a way. But I'll go ahead and just put it up towards the top. Or on the side, it's fine. So that looks good. So now we're good to go. Actually, I think I'm gonna shrink this tube like maybe 1% because her head's just right there at the top. We'll do 2%. Okay, that's good. Alright, so now all you have to do is add a name and a few elements behind her maybe, and we're good to go. Oh, I do want to drop shadow her as well. Let's see. So go to Effects, 3D Effects, and then drop shadow. Okay. And then I'll go back to our vector layer for our name. And just change the font on this. Let's see, is there one for Snow White? There is. Okay. And let's see, what color do I want it to be? Put the stroke at 1. And make the color this really pretty blue. Okay, I like that. Okay, so let's see, is there a few elements I can put behind her? Let's look at the banner. Okay, I'll put a tree or something behind her. Oh, okay, I need to go to the other folder with the elements. There we go. And I go back to my pick tool, and I'm going to just reduce this in size. I'll just put this off to the side. I'm going to deselect these other layers real quick. Because if I'm going to, I like it on the side there, but I want to make sure that nothing gets outside the frame. So I'm going to go to my selection tool here on the left And then I'm gonna draw a square right here, or rectangle, and then delete. That way I know that I get everything inside the frame and no events of erasing. So that's good. Okay. So I'll go back to my raster layer, selection, select all, selections, and then float, defloat, invert. And then I'll go to my tree, and then I'll press delete. So that takes care of that. I'm going to put in a flower here. Go back to my pick tool. But first I'm going to go to selections and then none to get rid of the dancing ants. I'm going to size this flower real quick. Okay. And then, let's see, what else can I put in there? Put a little bird in there. Just going to erase a little part of his tail. It's kind of sticking out a little bit. Let's see, is there anything else? Let me look through here real quick. Yeah. I don't know if that's clouds or snow. There. And layer was hiding from me. Okay. So I think that's good. So now I'll just save it. So I usually save first as a PSP image, and then I save a copy as a PNG on each profile or banner that I make. Sorry, I wanted to shrink that a little bit. big. Actually, I should get some more. Okay. So that is how you make the circular profile pictures. Thank you so much, and see you at the next video. Bye-bye.